Factors from Hurricane Sandy to concerns of a lingering drought have caused cattle and beef prices to weaken, resulting in extreme losses for some in the feeding and packing sectors of our industry. But retail beef prices seem to be stabilizing and cattle prices have begun to increase. So what can cattlemen expect in the coming months? We have more in this week's Market Watch.
Market Watch.
Joining me in the studio to discuss the beef retail trend is Trevor Amen, Director of Market Intelligence for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Welcome to the show, Trevor.
Thanks, Kevin.
So talk to us about the performance of beef, both at retail and food service, that you're seeing.
All right. Well, we've seen retail performance very strong over the past 4 years. When you look at dollar sales, we've seen steady increases year over year. So what that's telling us is that consumers are really willing to pay higher prices and continuing to shop at the grocery store for beef. When you look at prices, retail prices in particular, we're starting to see them moderate, which is a good sign for consumers and some positive news for the industry because compared to the past couple years, in 2011 we saw a 12% increase in retail prices. 2012, a lower increase of 7.5%, and in January of 2013, the most recent data that we have, we saw a 5% year-over-year increase. So they're moderating, and the expectation is that beef prices throughout 2013 will be more consistent with normal food inflation around 3 to 4%.
So how are consumers responding to these higher beef prices?
You know, the great thing about beef and beef's variety is there is a price point for everyone's budget. So when we start to look at consumer buying behavior and really how the economic downturn has shifted their purchasing behavior, we know that there's more than ever and still will continue to be a cost-conscious, frugal shopper really out there looking for deals. But on the other hand, they really love beef and they want to continue to include it in their diet. So when we break apart consumer demographics by income level, say, there's still a large percent of the population that's unemployed and struggling and really shopping for deals. But they still are finding ways to continue to include beef in their diet. When we look at the higher income level population, we are seeing a really strong rebound in terms of coming back and going out to eat at food service and really spending their money on beef. So a lot of positive signs. Another really interesting fact, when we look at age demographics, we focus a lot of our efforts on the millennial age group, those up-and-comers, the younger population who have many years of enjoying and purchasing beef ahead of them. And one thing about price, about that age group, is they are more comfortable with the price of beef. A higher percentage of them think that beef is priced about right compared to older generations. So somewhat less price sensitive, which is very good for us.
That's great news. And I want to ask you about this furlough we've been hearing about. You talk to a lot of retailers. What are they telling you about the potential impact at retail of this meat inspector furlough?
Well, the announcement in early March, what we do know is that those furloughs at the plant level are expected to not happen for a couple months, most likely in the July, August, September timeframe of this year. And we do know that it is mandated under the 1906 Meat Inspectors Act that that service is provided to provide meat inspection at the plant level. So when you look at the beef supply chain, you've got a steady pipeline of cattle, which turns into a perishable product of beef through a warehouse system, distribution system, and then all the way to retail and food service, ultimately to get to the consumer. So you just hope that those furloughs are spread out and that there's no major disruption in the supply chain, and ultimately that the consumer doesn't have any impact.
Indeed. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thanks, Kevin.
For more information about the beef retail market and beef prices, just log on to our website at cattleman@cattleman.org.